Welcome everyone to the TCAA. I am your Commish Bromy. We are here live, a little late, but better late than never. We'll try to do this quick little show here, as there wasn't really much action in the top 10 last week and upsets. And then also have to start getting there and start processing all your guys' walk-ons here in just a minute as well. So we're gonna do a quick recap, go over the rankings, and then do some previewing for next week as we have another big in the top 10. So we will go over that here in just a second. So let's go ahead. Game of the week last week was the then number 2 Balso Hard University up against the then number 7 University of Thugonomics. And Balso Hard continues to be undefeated, victorious over the Thugs, 139 to 128. In this matchup here, we had Aaron Rodgers with 25, Zeke with 20, Aaron Jones with 10, Cooper Kupp with 8, Darren Waller for 12. That sealed it on that Monday night game for a ball so hard. For the Thugs and their losing effort, they wasted a great opportunity with Tyreek Hill with his 42 points, James Robinson with his 20 points off that Thursday night game, Russell Wilson with 22, 11 from Calvin Ridley and 10 from Mike Evans. The bench once again blowing up crazy for the Thugs. Which then cost them pretty much in this game. But what are you going to do when you think that you have the best wide receivers out there already and it doesn't work out for you? So the Thugs dropped down to 2-2. What does that do for them in the rankings? We'll talk about that there shortly. But Balso Hard victorious. Do they stay at number 2? Do they go to number 1? We'll find out here in just a little bit. All right, your next matchup in the rankings here from last week, we have – let's see here. It was number 10 Louisiana University Knights on the road facing Northern University Tech State, and Louisiana was victorious, having their record go up to 3-1. They won 135 to 104. In their effort there for Louisiana, they got 40 points out of Mahomes, 20 out of James Robinson, 9 from Devontae Adams, 9 from rookie Jamar Chase. They got 13 from the kicker and Justin Tucker, who the week before that was just as spectacular with that monstrous field goal to win the game for the Ravens. For Northern, he had 22 from Josh Allen, 11 from Nick Chubb, 10 from Aaron Jones, 12 from Darren Waller. He had him as well, 7 Chris Godwin there. Very low scoring in the defensive side there. He got 15 from his linebacker and C.J. Mosley, but just not enough firepower there for Northern University, so that drops them down to 1-3. So once again, Louisiana victorious, 135 to 104. Next matchup here from the rankings, we had number 1 Duke University ends the streak of number 1s being upset as they were victorious at home against Jefferson Community College, 123 to 99. In this matchup, you had Dukem with 23 from Kyler Murray, 33 coming from Deebo Samuel, 16 from his kicker and Tyler Bass. Didn't do so much after that. Just 3 points from Chris Carson, 8 points from DeAndre Hopkins, 1 point from CeeDee Lamb. For Jefferson, he had 18 coming out of Lamar Jackson, 11 from Nick Chubb, 27 from Terry McLaurin. Nothing out of his tight end, who got injured early in that game. Nothing from a cornerback, who I think he may have gotten injured in the game. I don't remember what happened with J.R. Alexander or not. But fortunately there, Jefferson Community College gets that loss. They drop to 1-3. Duke MU wins, ending that, like I said, the upset specials going on for the number 1 schools. So odds are on favorite that Dukem will stay at number 1, but we'll go over that here in just a few. Next matchup in the rankings, we had, keep scrolling down, we had the then number 3 University of Kentucky Bourbon Ballers on the road facing Grime State University. And in this one, there was an upset as Kentucky did lose 139 to 136 to Grime State University. In that losing effort for Kentucky, they had 10 coming out of Tom Brady. Definitely not the output that was being expected with that return trip to New England, but weather probably played a huge factor in that game. Nick Chubb with 11, mentioned him already. Derrick Henry with his 24. DJ Moore with his 28. 7 from Keenan Allen on that one. For Grime State in their own victory, he had that 42-point effort out of Tyreek Hill, 23 from Kyler Murray, 14 from Antonio Gibson, 18 from Deontay Johnson. Once again, pulling that victory just out. Little home field advantage victory right there for 139 to 136. Even without that 3 points, it would have been victorious by less than a point. 66 point or 0.66 would have been the victory margin of victory there, even without the home field advantage. So still just squeaks by in that victory for Grimes State. That moves them to 2-2, and that gives Kentucky their first loss of the season. We will see what happens there with their rankings and how that went for them with that loss, getting that first loss of the season. Next matchup, we had the other game of the week matchup was the then number 4 Samurai Jackson University going against the then number 5 Land Thieves at home on that one for Samurai, and they were victorious 138 to 120 for Samurai Jackson. He had 40 out of Mahomes, 20 from Zeke Elliott, 13 from Stephon Diggs, 17 from Justin Jefferson, and then he had Justin Tucker there for his 13 points as a kicker. For Land Thieves, 22 from Russell Wilson, 18 from Najee Harris, 10 out of Mike Evans. He got 13 and a half out of his defensive tackle, which is a really good score to get from defense. 10 from his, and that's Quinnen Williams there, 10 from his defensive end. Daniel Hunter, 12 from Roquan Smith. But just not enough there to beat a conference foe and conference rival there in Samurai Jackson University. Once again, Samurai victorious at home, 138 to 120. What does that do for each of them when it comes to the rankings? What they do to Land Thieves, getting that second loss of the season now for them. What does that do? We'll find out here in just a little bit. All right, next matchup. You had number 9 Delta Phi Gamma at home taking on Copper Mountain Community College. And on this one, Delta Phi was victorious 113 to 94 in that winning effort for Delta Phi, keeping that magic alive. 4-0 now for them too, no less. Just a remarkable season so far for Delta Phi. They got 23 out of Kyler Murray, 14 from Darrell Henderson. He got 11 points out of his cornerback there, and Mike Hughes from Kansas City there with his 11.5 points. Other than that, everything else was single digits for him. Just was able to get just enough out of them. For Copper Mountain, he had 22 from Josh Allen, 11 from Nick Chubb, 11.5 from Calvin Ridley, 13 from his tight end there, and Dallas Goedert. Nothing out of Jair Alexander there. Nothing else wide receiver with a 0.16 there, and Mike Williams. That was a little disappointing. DeAndre Hopkins with an 8.7, so that was disappointing as well there. So that does keep, like I said, this magical run of the season so far for Delta Phi Gamma, keeping them at 4-0. That loss dropping Copper Mountain down to 2-2. Not that bad, really, for Copper when it's talking about when we're starting conference play here in this one matchup here. So you can really only afford maybe to possibly lose one game in conference play if you're going to play for that conference title there. So good for Delta Phi, not so good for Copper Mountain. All right, next matchup in the rankings, we had number 6 Vestal Tech Community College. They were number 6 Vestal Tech they were at home taking on Quack Attack, and they were victorious 115 to 110 for Vestal. 40 out of Mahomes, 11 from Calvin Ridley. He had 15 from his kicker. Big weekend for the kickers. A lot of double digits there that we have going on playing in our games this week. 11.5 from Calvin Ridley, 5.4 from Dalvin Cook, 3.6 from Chris Carson. So not the greatest out of his running backs, but it was still enough to get that victory. Quack Attack had 22 from Russell Wilson, 20 from Zeke Elliott, 12 from Zach Moss. And that's about it. Everyone else was pretty much single digits. Odell Beckham with just 4 points. Brandon Ayuk with just 5 points. So just not enough there on that end for Quack Attack. So for Vestal Tech, that moves them to 3-1. Quack Attack drops them down to 1-3. Next matchup in the rankings here, we had number 8 Allen Wrench Trade School on the road facing the Volunteers, and they were victorious, keeping their winning streak and their undefeated season alive. For Allen Wrench, keeping it at 4-0, 107 to 99. For Allen, you had 22 from Josh Allen, 22 from David Montgomery, 9 from Devontae Adams, 8 from Cooper Kupp, 6 from George Kittle, 6 from Adam Thielen there on that matchup there. For the Volunteers, 16 from Trevor Lawrence, 10 from Aaron Jones, 13 from Joe Mixon, 14 from DK Metcalf. But just not enough there. So once again, Allen keeping that undefeated season alive, 4-0. Volunteers dropping down to 1-3. And that is actually the last of the matchups that we had for ranked schools. So let's go ahead and talk about the rankings. They should be up to date. Um, Not too much. There's a little bit of movement. Unfortunately, we had a couple of issues with some of the coaches poll members this week. One went out of town. Another one was having some issues getting their rankings submitted. So not that much, not a lot going into the rankings. Just a total of 3 out of the 5 entered into this one. So not as much possible um, changing that could have happened there or difference in. So let's kind of see. This might be just a one-off on some of these moves, but it is what it is for the rankings for this week. Nothing we can do about it here. So we'll go over it here real quick. Staying at number 1, Duke University, unanimous. Of the coaches that did choose, they all chose Duke as number 1, so unanimous decision there, making them the first number 1 school, not only just not to lose, but then they're also the first one to repeat in that number 1 slot going in so far this young season. Staying at number 2 is Boston Hard University. Moving up 1 spot, Samurai Jackson to 3. Dropping a spot is Kentucky Bourbon Ballers down to 4. Allen Wrench moving up to 3 to 5. Delta Fu moving up 3 to 6. Vessel Tech dropping 1, even with their victory. They dropped down to 7. Louisiana University moving up 2 to 8. Land Thieves dropping down 4 to 9 after that loss. Samurai. And then new into the top 10 is South Texas Raiders moving up 2 to the number 10 slot. So with that, like I said, we have South Texas moving up into the top 10. The school dropping out of the top 10 was University of Thugonomics, and they dropped all the way down to 15 after that loss that they had last week. Rounding out, let's see here, you have SC Mud Dogs, the only undefeated team not in the top 10, just sitting out of it. So they didn't move at all. They were 11th last week. They won, and they just sat there still at 11. Unfortunate for them. You had Fa at 12, Crenshaw at 13, Grime State at 14. Thugonomics, like we said, they dropped down to 15. Phillies at 16, Telford at 17, Northern University at 18, Adams College 19, and Greenville Green Devils moved up 6 slots to 20. Rounding out, you got Copper, Terry Tate, Brock State, Presbyterian, and Delta Tau Chi. That's your 21 through 25. For 26 to 30, you got Remember the Titans, Quack Attack, Jefferson Community College, DVAP, and the Dynasty. And then finishing it all off, the last 6 there, you got Chicago Outfit at 31, Harrison 32, Upper Sandusky 33, Volunteers 34, Dallas Spurs 35, and Gordon, Condor University White Knights picking up the rear then at 36. Now, real quick, I did want to make a note. Let me go to this other page here real quick. So I've got a lot of different ranking things going on to help the coaches poll out with different little formulas and stuff like that. Total wins, all play percentaging. Also having, since we do strength of schedule, how is how the opponent's doing for everybody, who's got a tougher schedule right now. So at this current moment, the school with the toughest schedule for who they've played so far is Balso Hard University, where there are 4 opponents that they've beaten. Out of those 4, they've gotten 7 total wins. So that gives them the best overall kind of a record in a sense. So right now they have the hardest schedule because they are 4-0, and their schools that they've been able to face has got 7 wins on their end there. The next one there is Duke with 6 wins out of the people who they've beaten total. Also in that one, Grime State, they're 2-2, but they've also got a really good, they got a strong schedule there where people who they've beaten, they've got a combined wins of 6 there as well. So something I got on there just to kind of a little additive. I got a bunch of different formulas in there for all the coaches, or the coaches put a look at. The school who has the overall, say, strongest schedule with total wins overall, even if they haven't played them yet or not, is, let me look who that was. You have a bunch of 32s. There's a 33. So right now, Land Thieves has the hardest schedule just based off of total wins out of all of their opponents who they faced and not faced yet. So there's right now is 33 wins is combined on their schedule of their opponents. The school with the least amount of combined wins for their opponents right now is Crenshaw University. So one would say that they may have the easiest schedule at the moment. Combined 18 wins out of all of their opponents that they have this season overall for what they've gotten. We have a total of, let me pull this other thing up here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We got a total of 5 schools who are still undefeated going in after 4 weeks. Balso Hard, Dukem, Delta Fu, SCLSU, and Allen Wrench. We only have 2 schools that are winless at this moment, and that is University of Dallas Spurs and the Condor University White Knights. A lot of schools that were undefeated or winless last week did pick up some wins in their conference play, so that's good start for them in conference play. But this week we're going back into non-conference play and just a little taste of conference play. Overall, for the conferences right now, Pac-6 has the best overall record at 16-8 in their conference. Next to them is SEC with a 14-10 overall record. Then you've got Big 6, they're 12-12. Big East is 11-13. Mountain 6, 10-14, and then at the end there's ACC with an overall 9-15 record there. So right now Pac-6 is Pac-6 strong, is what their little hashtag has always been since the beginning, and it just proved themselves right there as well, as they have the best overall record going on. So let's get into week 5 and those previews. So our game of the week, and it is a very, very close projected outcome here. But so the game of the week, number 3, Samurai Jackson University. They are going on the road facing number 7, Vestal Tech Community College at Mary Knox Stadium. In this matchup, they both have Patrick Mahomes going. For Samurai, you got Zeke Elliott, Devontae Adams, Stephon Diggs, Justin Jefferson, TJ Hawkinson. For Vestal, Dalvin Cook, Keenan Allen, Mike Evans, and Calvin Ridley and Dallas Goedert on their end. At this moment, Vestal Tech is favored by just under a point. That doesn't include the home field advantage into that. So at this moment, Vestal favored by about just under a point in their matchup there. In their rivalry that they've faced each other, Vestal is winning in that rivalry 3-1. So Samurai is looking to get themselves another win in that one to try to get close to evening up that all-time series, but also they want to stay in that top slot there in the 3 spot and give Vestal Tech their second loss of the season. All right, your next matchup here for the ranked matchups here is number 9 Land Thieves taking their 2-2 record on the road, facing 2-2 Adams College Adams. For Land Thieves, they got Russell Wilson, Chris Carson, Najee Harris, Keenan Allen, Mike Evans, and Travis Kelce. For Adams College, you got Lamar Jackson, Dalvin Cook, Marquise Brown, DeAndre Hopkins, Mike Williams, and Travis Kelce in that matchup. So both with Kelce's going in there to equal those out and balance them out there. At this moment, Adams is favored by 12 points going into the game. Next matchup, you've got number 2 Balso Hard University going on the road to face the University of Dallas Spurs. So undefeated 4-0 Balso Hard going against winless Dallas Spurs. This would be one of those matchups there where it would be a huge upset if Dallas Spurs were to pull off this victory. But for Balso Hard, you've got Aaron Rodgers, Zeke Elliott, Aaron Jones, Cooper Kupp, Tyler Lockett, and Darren Waller. For the Spurs, you've got Justin Fields, Zeke Elliott, CeeDee Lamb, DK Metcalf, Calvin Ridley, and Eric Ebron there. At this moment, Balso Hard is favored by, that is 25 points right now. Balso Hard is favored. All right, next matchup in the rankings. Scroll it. You've got number 4 University of Kentucky Bourbon Ballers going on the road to the Raffi Testalama Field at the Nest to face the Northern University Tech State. For Kentucky, you got Tom Brady, Nick Chubb, Derrick Henry, Keenan Allen, DJ Moore, and Travis Kelce. For Northern University, you got Josh Allen, Nick Chubb, so they got those equal themselves out. Aaron Jones, Chris Godwin, Cortland Sutherland, and Darren Waller. At this moment, Kentucky is favored by about 14 points in this matchup. Next matchup here, you have number 8 Louisiana University Knights hosting Upper Sandusky University Raw Dogs. For Upper Sandusky, you got Josh Allen, James Robinson, Devontae Adams, Allen Robinson, Debo Samuel, and Logan Thomas, who did not play last week or got injured like real early in the game. So thought process that he wouldn't be in this matchup. Also, Upper is looking like they've got a free agent as a kicker. So hopefully they use this walk-on opportunity to grab themselves a kicker to maybe get some points there in the kicking field there. For Louisiana, they've got Mahomes, James Robinson, Devontae Adams, rookie Jamar Chase, DJ Moore, and Zach Ertz. And they are currently favored by 17 at home. Once again, Louisiana University taking on Upper Sandusky. Next matchup in the rankings, you've got number 5 Allen Wrench Trade School going on the road to F5 Stadium facing the 2-2 Telford Tornadoes. For Allen Wrench, you got Tom Brady, DeAndre Swift, Devontae Adams, Cooper Kupp, Adam Thielen, and Mike Gesicki. For Telford, we got Tom Brady as well going, Zeke Elliott, James Robinson, Cooper Kupp, Calvin Ridley, and George Kittle. So they got 2 players going with each other, pending they keep these lineups the same. That will equal each other there. At this moment, Telford is favored by 2 points. Also, I guess depending on what kind of walk-ons either one of these schools chooses could also change how this would look as well. But currently, Telford at home favored by 2 points against the undefeated Allen Wrench Trade School. Next matchup here in the rankings, you've got number 6, 4-0 Delta Phi Gamma at home taking on the 1-3 the Dynasty. Once again, like we've said, just weeks, or like I've said, over these last several weeks, this is just a magical season so far for Delta Phi Gamma, sitting at 4-0. Telling you, there's just one of the most shocking things so far in TCAA history, I would say. For the Dynasty, you got Dak Prescott, Dalvin Cook, Najee Harris, A.J. Brown, and DK Metcalf, and Evan Ingram. For Delta Phi Gamma, Kyler Murray, Darrell Henderson, DeAndre Swift, Jamar Chase, Cortland Sutton, Tyler Higbee. At this moment, the Dynasty is favored by 13 points. These two have a 1-1 all-time series record. This would have been when Delta Phi was known as a big USC Trojan fan. But overall, Dynasty and them have a 1-1 all-time series record. Delta Phi looking to keep that magic alive, hitting that 5-0 spot. Dynasty looking to get that second win of the season. All right. Next matchup in the rankings, you have number 1 Duke University going on the road facing Harrison University Cougars. For Dukem, you got Kyler Murray, Chris Carson, DeAndre Hopkins, CeeDee Lamb, Deebo Samuel, and Travis Kelce. For the Cougars, you've got Tom Brady, Dalvin Cook, Jonathan Taylor, Terry McLaurin, DK Metcalf, and George Kittle. At this moment, let's see, he is missing a kicker also in his lineup, so hopefully he chooses wisely and gets himself a kicker in this latest walk-on period here. Get himself some extra points here. So Dukem is currently favored then by 11 points. I'm not going to say that if he picks up a kicker, that's going to help the favoritism or put Harrison over in the favored category, but it would make it closer because you never know. These kickers are getting some double digits these last couple of weeks here, so you never know what could happen. Right now, Dukem holds a 2-0 all-time series record against the franchise's schools. That is Harrison University Cougars. All right, next matchup in the rankings. See who else we've got here. We have number 10 South Texas Raiders entered the number 10 spot after last week. They are at home taking on another surprising school in Philly U. They are both 3-1. This is at Young McCoy Stadium, South Texas there. Philly U, another surprise team coming out of that Pac-6 strong as they would say. For Philly, you've got Ryan Tannehill, Austin Eckler, Cooper Kupp, DJ Moore, Michael Pittman, and Noah Fant. For South Texas, you got Mahomes, Saquon Barkley, Aaron Jones, Keenan Allen, Mike Evans, and Mark Andrews. At this moment, South Texas is favored by 18 points. This is their very first matchup ever facing each other. Let's see. We have any other rankings going on here? That might be the end of the ranked matchups. So that is all the ranked matchups that we have for week 5 for this week. All right, no comments are here, probably because nobody is. It's 11:30 at night. No one's probably watching this live. Anywho, so that's your rankings, that's your matchups. I'm gonna get off here in just a second. I'm gonna start going ahead and proving all your guys' walk-ons if you put some in. You have until Saturday night to get those in. Reminder: we got a game tomorrow night as always, but also this Sunday is the very first London game. So there's a 9:30 a.m. kickoff going on. I believe it's the New York Jets versus the Atlanta Falcons. So I'm not too sure exactly how many players are going to be playing on our rosters, except for maybe Calvin Ridley, or if anybody's got a Cordarrelle Patterson and his ridiculousness that he's got going on as a wide receiver, getting running back points, and he's just crushing it for anybody who has him. Which I haven't really talked about him yet in any of these weeks. So I guess nobody's either starting him or he's a free agent. Maybe he won't be a free agent with these walk-ons. I guess we'll find out. But get your walk-ons in. You get one option. Add one more player this week. Next week we will be doing our blue shirts, so be ready to start submitting those in. Once this week ends, you have until kickoff Thursday. Anybody who's eligible, they can be awarded their blue shirt. Recruiting is all up to date as well. We only had one school so far that had a visit, and that was last week. And it did not go well for them. They did lose some points in recruiting by losing last week. So that could hurt them when it is all said and done for recruiting. So recruiting is done, so it should be all up to date. Rankings are up there. I'll get your walk-ons on here going here in just a second. If you guys have any questions, go ahead and just fire them away at me. Answered a few questions already in the chat on the Band app, but anything else, just fire away and get going. Other than that, I'm going to go ahead and get out of here. Y'all have a good night. See ya.